Well, g'day everyone and welcome to another episode of BlankCanvasTV.com. My name's Andre Knott and we are changing the way you see and experience art. We're right here back in the studio today where we're talking about another concept, and I love getting into the studio right here because it gives us an opportunity to focus in on some of the concepts you've been asking me about and want to know about, and this is an opportunity right here. We're always on the road traveling. We're out in the Caribbean islands, we're around New York City, we're around the United States, around Australia, wherever we are around the world. We're doing these episodes and teaching about artists and their cultures and whatever they're doing in those areas, and we're highlighting them as well. But sometimes we come back in here and we answer these questions, give you an understanding a bit more about some of the concepts in art that you may be interested in. And today we're talking about art mediums and a hierarchy of art mediums, and right here you can see what is the king of art mediums, and there is kind of an answer to that. There's kind of not really as well. It depends on which way you look at it. But we're talking about the types of art mediums: painting, sculpture, poetry, performance art, multimedia, digital art, no matter what it might be, performance art and all the rest, film art, and all of these things. What is the king of art mediums? And to some extent, and to most of an extent, it is painting. It has been painting throughout the centuries, in fact. Oil, watercolor, no matter multimedia paintings, no matter what type they are, they have always had a slightly more significance, if you like, throughout history. It's certainly what has had the most admirers and what has had the most understanders, because a lot of what we're talking about right here, art is kind of like a mirror to our souls, and it kind of enables the artist to express themselves as best as possible. But that's the way it's kind of panned out over the centuries. It's a kind of yes or no answer. What is the king? I would say painting. It's because it's got the most admirers. As time has gone on as well, canvas paintings have had a lot more interest and a lot more social value perhaps, and certainly a lot more value money-wise than their watercolor or their paper equivalents, and some of that has to do with the way in which canvas holds up over time as well. But painting has influenced a great deal of the many other mediums of art and art culture as well. That's another reason why it is has the most admirers and has the most influence. Certainly the paintings of Mondrian throughout the first part of the 20th century influenced a great deal of architecture, and architecture was also very well influenced by Oerté as far as the Art Deco mediums went. Almost anything Art Deco in the world of art, in the world of architecture, can be attributed to Oerté, and that is Romain de Tirthoff, who had the initials RT, was renamed or kind of had the nickname Oerté because of RT being mispronounced or repronounced in French, you might say. He kind of had a great influence on the architecture of major cities like New York, Miami, and many of the other cities that built up throughout the 1930s. Picasso had a huge influence on his paintings and his wonderful sculptural elements in his paintings, in his early modernist works like La Demoiselle d'Avignon, Boy with a Pipe. A lot of his later works in his blue and rose periods as well influenced sculpture, and all the sculpture throughout the 1930s, 1940s, and of course Picasso did a great deal of sculpture himself, but it was his painting that influenced them. The surrealists like Salvador Dali and Jean Miro, Henri Breton and the like, they kind of had a huge influence on poetry and theatre, and a lot of the even film throughout the 1960s, and Alfred Hitchcock even did a dream sequence of the surrealist art of Salvador Dali. So you can see that painters and painting has really influenced a lot of the minimalists of the 1930s and 1940s. They had this incredible influence on orchestral music throughout that time as well, and how it would take years and years of input from the painters across the centuries into all of the other mediums right there. So that's why painting has had the most influence across the centuries, in fact. But let's have a look at some of the other art mediums out there, like sculpture and poetry. I mean, sculpture and sculptural elements and poetry are some of the oldest forms of art, going back many, many years before people were even expressing in the written form poetry and sculpture, and before they were even experiencing anything in the painted form. Poetry was out there in linguistics, and as communication really first developed, and all cultures, no matter what they are, have elements of poetic history in them as well. What about the new types of art, such as performance, multimedia, and digital art? What kind of influence are they having on the world of art today? They certainly are in the modern day. A lot of art has gone that way these days, and we're looking at different forms of art expression. I mean, film has only been around for about 100 years. Multimedia and digital art has only been around for the last decade or decade and a half. There really is a huge advancement in those types of art cultures, and we'll see that more into the next 50 or 100 years as well. Who knows, there might be even more different ideas of art concepts that spring up into the next few years as well. But I think as we look into art and its hierarchy, or its social value, you might say, or its value even extrinsically with money sort of side of things, I think we have to understand that I think we should look and let art have an appropriateness. Let's look at the art's appropriateness. Let's look at the way in which it kind of exhibits what it is trying to, such as Michelangelo. He used magnificent marble stone for his sculptures. Look at the way in which film was used to express Koyaanisqatsi. That was Jeffrey Reggio, who was an amazing producer and filmmaker of the 1970s and 80s, who took 5 years to create this movie, Koyaanisqatsi. We'll put it on the website here. You should look it up and watch the movie as well, where he explained about a life out of balance from the Hopi Indian translation. 5 years it took, 1983, to create that absolute masterpiece that today would take literally only a couple months to create with the digital arts, but at the time he used film and time sequences and the rest. Amazing film indeed, and I think that's what we need to look at. Art mediums, art hierarchy, painting probably absolutely the number one of all of them. Certainly has the most admirers, and of course canvas painting taking on it, and those sorts of the art industry, or those places in art history, or those types of artists throughout architecture, sculpture. They influenced poetry and theatre, orchestral music and the rest. That's certainly the way I see it. Tell me the way you see it. Want to see it here on the website. I'm Andre Knott, host of BlankCanvasTV.com. We'll see you on another episode, and we're changing the way you see and experience art. Catch you later.